recruiting you as an individual to join this operation. And I call it Operation Take Command. Because someone needs to take command of this situation, and it might as well be you and me and all of the other individual citizens who believe that we can govern ourselves and our own space and deserve a chance to prove that. So I'm going to offer myself up as a candidate, as a placeholder for you to write in RY, which just means represent yourself. And if you choose RY and it is clear to the country and to the Electoral College and to the Congress that you and I have chosen to write in RY and make clear that you represent yourself as an individual citizen, then I will do the work with your help to make sure that actually is possible for you. Which means handing over most of the functions of government to you. So it's not going to be a simple thing. It's not like, well, it will be simple, but it may not be easy. But you're already doing most of the job anyway. You just don't get credit for it. You don't get paid for it. You wake up, you do what you do, you you try your best to do good as an American citizen and avoid infringing on the personal space and the rights of others, and you deserve credit for that. And it is a job. It is a job. We talk about not having jobs in this country. We already have a few jobs. We exist. We are born, we exist, and that is a job in and of itself. No matter where in the world, on this earth, you are born, existence is a job, and that's something to be celebrated. There's not many people who are born and then exist and live a life, and we deserve credit for that. We're also have the luxury of being born as American citizens. And that is also a job on top of existence. We have a certain idea that this country is exceptional, and so we expect certain things of our people. We even mandate it, however that mandate is unfunded, and people deserve a chance to thrive. And on top of all this, we're taxing our people as individuals, which is ridiculous. We need to stop taxing our people. We need to stop the madness in general, in culture, in society, and in politics. And we need to stop taxing jobs. If we're trying to create jobs, why are we taxing jobs? That makes no sense. So that's the first thing I would do if I were chosen to lead this country as president. I would be an independent individual representing other independent individuals and empowering all of you to govern yourself, because I cannot do it alone. It's hard enough for me to govern my own space, much less take on the task of doing it for over 300 million people. If I'm president, I will be expecting you to do your part. At the same time, I will remove the barriers that prevent you from doing so. And I might even empower you with the proper funding necessary to do so. So this is a certainly lofty plan, a Hail Mary as they call it, but I think something is necessary, something drastically different. And while technically I'm not eligible to serve as president until next July, I have a plan to deal with that as well. I I do recognize that we have not been living and operating according to the U.S. Constitution, and many people already see that. However, in the interest of tradition, I will um, um, use the Constitution as a guide and acknowledge that the eligible age to serve as president is 35 years. I am only 34, and I will be 35 in July. So, if you decide that you do want me to serve, short of a constitutional amendment, I will work with the Congress and encourage the people who elect the Congress to get behind this plan and hold off on serving until I am eligible and ready to do it. In the meantime, I will nominate a running mate, someone who will serve as my vice president, who will be elected president of the Senate, and who can serve as acting president until I am eligible and able to do so. I've thought long and hard on who this person should be. I wanted to make sure this person is ready and willing to serve, has indicated that they would, and someone who has the ability to help form a government that operates in the interest of the individual citizen of the United States, while also being someone who could effectively serve as commander-in-chief. I wanted this person to be an independent voice and to help me bridge across the generations and the various factions that exist in both the political realm and the social aspect of pulling together a coalition of people who simply want to serve our country. So for my running mate, to serve as my vice president and to serve as acting president until I have reached the eligible age, I have chosen Jim Webb. He is a Marine, a writer. He has served in the United States Senate from Virginia. He has also served as Assistant Secretary of Defense and also Secretary of the Navy. He has previously run for president as a Democrat. He considered a run as an independent. He is not a typical politician. However, he has the experience in politics and in government that I believe would properly complement a White House that I would want to put together and be an effective voice for justice. I know that this is a very unorthodox way to go about choosing a leader or a few leaders who can both represent the people and effectively govern and lead us. However, this has not been a typical campaign, and while it has been very taxing on my emotions and the feelings of most people, I think there is an opportunity here to recognize that it's time to move in a radically different direction and find a way of choosing our leaders that doesn't involve the politics of personal destruction and the necessity to rely on billions of dollars from wherever it may come. I hadn't planned to even consider doing something like this until 2020. And even then, I would not have considered doing it if uh, what you had to do to become president is what we see in this election in 2016. However, I simply see a void in leadership, and I think we need a coordinating influence who can pull together the various uh, individuals and groups of people into a coalition government that's on the same page and operating with the idea of protecting and empowering the individual citizen while at the same time defending our country and preparing it for the 21st century. So along with this, I'm going to make a proposal. So in the meantime, if the Electoral College decides to assert its independence and properly represent the interests of all American citizens, I will encourage them to write in Rye for president and Jim Webb for vice president. From there, I will encourage the House of Representatives to hold off on its vote for president and its confirmation until I am eligible to serve. And in the meantime, I encourage the Senate to confirm Jim Webb as vice president, who will serve as acting president until then. In the meantime, I will offer again, as I have done before, to serve as a citizen speaker of the House. I believe it is important to have an independent person, both politically independent and also independent of the membership of the House, to serve as Speaker and to set an agenda that leads to a proper functioning of government. I believe I am uniquely positioned to both represent the people who do not have a voice, which is a majority, and properly pull together the various interests and groups who make up the House to do some things to get this country moving both forward and upward and not looking back. We need a strong foundation, and we need to stop taxing our people and stop taxing our jobs, and we need to stop the madness, and I will make sure that happens. And not just because of me and who I am, but because of hopefully the support that is behind me. I already know it exists. Everyone kind of accepts that that exists. And I'm not looking to fight against anyone on this. I'm looking to work with anybody who wants to do that. I think we all generally have the same goals. It's just we're speaking different languages, or we have different ways of going about it. But the first thing I would do is take emergency action and stop, remove the barriers that are in the way. Life is hard enough. Things are complicated enough. We don't need unnecessary barriers to um, success for our people and our businesses. If corporations are people, then we need to think about those people. So the first thing I would do is suspend the personal income tax immediately. But while we're figuring out the mess and fixing the tax code so that it's fair, and doing all the other work we need to do to work on trade issues or national security threats, we need to do something for our people. There is no reason why there should be any barrier to getting a job. There should be no reason why we should be taking money out of the productive work of the average person. If you wake up and you go out and you get a job and you get paid, that should be it. And we can spend all the time people want on figuring out what the best way is to have a sound revenue stream for this country. But in the meantime, we're going to stop taxing our people immediately. So in the meantime, tell your member of Congress that your speaker, Rye, is ready and willing to serve and represent you so that you can represent yourself. The Congress returns to session in 2 weeks. We can start then, or we can start in January until I am ready to serve as president. And until then, I am down to meet with the White House and the current president and figure out what kinds of emergency actions we can take to make all of this happen as soon as possible. And I would like any support anyone has to provide in making sure that happens. So we don't have to wait on this. We don't have to wait till election day. We don't have to wait till December. We don't have to wait till January. We don't have to wait till 2020 or the year 2200 or never. We can stop the madness right now. And you can represent yourself right now. This is the revolution. The revolution is improvised. It doesn't have to be some rioting in the streets, breaking things and setting things on fire and violence. It doesn't need to be like that. I get that that's what we've seen over centuries and millennia. But we are different. We are evolved, and we are American, and we are individuals, and we are citizens. And so we have another way to assert ourselves. All it requires is a change in mindset and an acceptance right here, right now, in this moment, that I am an individual, I'm a citizen, I represent myself, I govern myself in my own space, I am the government. This is the revolution. Decide it, and it will be. Just do it. From here, I will propose some additional steps from here, some details in terms of what kind of things that I would be doing. Um, but now's the time. It's not personal. This is not against anybody or anyone, and all can be forgiven. A lot has happened in the last couple centuries since the Declaration of Independence, and yet we need a new Declaration of Independence, and all it takes is just deciding